Hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr. How are you doing today, beautiful? And in today's video, I thought I would make one last video to do with Theatrhythm Final Bar Line, as I know that this game is extremely niche and I just love it. There are a lot of games I should be doing coverage on, but I've just been non-stop playing Theatrhythm for the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to put out one last video for this game, especially for those who are looking to trophy hunt in the game or get through all of those pesky series quests with feral chaos and more chaos, etc. If you're wanting to get through those challenges with a really strong team, I have spent quite a long time sort of building up a team that I think works really well for getting through those challenges. So if you'd like to perhaps copy this team and use it for yourself, then stay tuned and keep on watching. Before we get started, of course, don't forget to check out all of my social media in the description box in the links below, including my Twitter, my Twitch, my Discord, and my Patreon. Over on Twitch, I've been streaming various different things at the moment. I'm currently working through Final Fantasy 13, and I've actually just finished the Platinum Trophy for Theatrhythm Final Bar Line using the team that I'm going to talk to you about today, and the song that I'm going to show at the end of this to demonstrate what they can do is actually the last song that I did to get the Platinum Trophy, so that was very, very cool. And I've also been getting some games through Nintendo recently, which is amazing, and a massive shout out goes out to them, and of course to Square Enix for gifting me a copy of Theatrhythm Final Bar Line, amongst other things. Those guys look after me all the time, even now, and it's so appreciated. So if you guys want to see more Nintendo related content from me, definitely comment below and let me know what you think of that. Of course, I am still going to be making lots of content on the Final Fantasy series going forward, but please be patient with me, as what I'm trying to do at the moment takes a lot of research and a lot of recording footage, but that stuff is still coming, so please be patient. Thank you ever so much for waiting for me. Of course, I couldn't finish a video without shouting out one of my patrons, as I do every time I release a video, and today that person is going to be Cobalt Zork, who is a fan of World of Final Fantasy and is on my Ultima tier Patreon. Massive thank you goes out to you, and to all of you guys that support this channel, especially considering the changes that have gone through this channel recently. So a huge thank you goes out to all of you, and if you would like a title card made for you just like Cobalt Zork has, amongst all sorts of other benefits, then perhaps consider clicking on the link for Patreon yourself. Right, so without further ado, let me show you the team that I have here for you. So this team is built in such a way to deal a large amount of non-elemental magic damage as frequently as possible, while still making sure that you're getting to a boss and pretty much destroying the boss in a singular hit. So the team comprises of Terra, Bartz, Ramza, and Spiritus. Now the summon that I have here actually isn't particularly good, so it doesn't really matter what summon that you have here, but if you have ones that give you trigger damage increases or magic ability damage increases, then those are obviously going to help you. So the idea here is that Spiritus's Tolerant Wisdom effect basically triggers at the start of the fight and makes it so that your party leader deals 1.7 times damage with magic abilities until the end of the track. And then Mimic, which is equipped to both Bartz and to Ramza, basically mimics the last ability used. So the way that this team is built is in order for Bartz and Ramza and no other abilities to go off before Mimic can after Tolerant Wisdom has gone off, which means that you actually get Tolerant Wisdom 3 times throughout the fight. So when you do get to a boss, you have Terra, whose Ultima only triggers when a boss arrives, whilst Dual Cast also triggers, and the order here is also very important as well, because with Terra being the first party member, obviously not only is she getting all of the benefits from Tolerant Wisdom, and also Mystic Aura as well, which does a very similar effect to Tolerant Wisdom, but weaker, but you obviously get that from a scroll, so you can give that to anybody. So it's given to Spiritus as yet another way to multiply Terra's damage. So when a boss does arrive, you get a dual casted Ultima at a gargantuan multiplier of the amount of damage that you're dealing through the double-mimed Tolerant Wisdoms, Mystic Auras, and the fact that Terra has a pretty hefty magic stat to begin with. Obviously, the higher you get her magic stat through magic pluses through playing the game, the better you're going to find it. The other abilities on the characters that I have here are mostly just to get you to the boss rather than anything else. So Aurora, Eroga, Blade, and Eroga itself, and Weapon Break are abilities that do decent amounts of damage that aren't going to interfere with Mimic, like, kind of interacting with Tolerant Wisdom. Mimic actually triggers twice, so there have been many times where I've gotten Mimic to go off after Ultima as well, so not only are you triggering it from Tolerant Wisdom, but you're triggering it through Ultima as well. So if you have additional magic pluses, giving them to Ramza and Bart isn't actually the worst idea, because you might find that you'll get additional casts of Ultima. Ruin comes from a scroll, which is just a great spell to have in this game, because the more often you can trigger Ruin, the better it will be for you, because you'll be able to just deal non-elemental damage frequently, and obviously with dual cast and the Tolerant Wisdom buffs, you're going to get through larger enemies very quickly, or even a boss if Ultima wasn't somehow enough to finish it off. And then Scream, honestly, it's just there because it's probably the next best thing Ramza has. Like, it increases his magic and his strength by 200 halfway through the song. You know it's not going to interfere with anything else that's going on, and honestly, you just want to make sure that the Tolerant Wisdoms go off before a boss turns up and before any other abilities trigger. So Scream, Weapon Break, and the arrows, they're just there to kind of boost up the ability to, like, kill regular enemies before you actually get to a boss. So this team is all well and good for beating bosses and getting through them really quickly, but what about other series quests that ask you for different things? So the nice thing with Bartz and Ramza in particular is that they can be used for other quests as well. So for example, I have got here 3 of the same characters and the same summon to be used for any sort of series quest that asks for a number of abilities to be used before the song ends. So because of the way that Mimic works, Mimic is a second ability to the one that it's mimicking. So it will trigger Mimic and then the ability that it's mimicking. And because you have Ramza and Bartz doing it, and because Mimic triggers twice, that's 4 or 8 abilities before you've actually had to do anything. Cheer is something that triggers really easily, so you don't have to worry about anything. Added Cut also makes it so that every 5th ability that triggers, you get another ability that triggers as well. And I've given Ramza Fire and then Terra just low-level spells to go in combination with Aphmau, who is the 4th member of the party that's written here, because of her realignment ability, which reduces the number of triggers that it costs to actually use the abilities by 20%. So I've beaten sort of 50 plus ability uses through Endless World and stuff using this particular team. 60 plus I haven't managed, but I'm not honestly sure how you do 60 plus abilities in a singular run. So if you have any ideas on that one, definitely comment below. Now before we move on and I show you guys the Dare to Defy track, which ironically is through Dissidia, that I used this team for so that I could showcase just how much damage you can deal to one of the more strict levels for Beat Feral Chaos there is. I do have a couple of extra slides here to show you other teams that I think will be useful to you for going through the series quests. So in this particular team I have Garnet, Yuna, Rydia and Aiko. Now it's fairly obvious as to what this team is useful for because they're all summoners. So basically they are just stacking boosts and their singular abilities, or their unique abilities like Fey March Power, Blessing of Alexandria, Prayer of the Lost, just to make it so that you can deal as much damage as you can with a singular summon. And then obviously having a summon that has plus percentile summon damage is obviously going to help out here a great deal. So building just a few summoners, you can see I haven't got any star levels on any of them, and they got through every summon quest absolutely fine. And then finally, I did also add in Fran and Zidane as a really strong way of getting through sort of, you know, just field quests quickly. They both have abilities that are really strong for stealing extra items. Obviously, having a summon that increases item drops is really useful here. I paired them with Kuja because Kuja's my favorite character, so he's obviously my star level 9 character. And I use him as just a method of dealing with waves of enemies quickly and having high stats, meaning he can get through stuff without necessarily having to get through a particularly hard boss. He's just there to just beat things in the face. And then Bartz sometimes will mimic sort of the abilities that get you additional items as well. So honestly, I believe the combination of Bartz and Ramza to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest, sort of combination of characters in the entire game, just because of the widespread use of all the different things that they can do. So that's actually all I have for you in today's video. I wanted to showcase, like, I've done a lot of research on a lot of characters in this game and spent a long time going through every song, all of the different things that I felt that this team would be useful for. The only things I would say trip this particular team up when it comes to beating a boss quickly is if the song starts and a boss turns up before you get to mimic Tolerant Wisdom, because it will then trigger Ultima due to the trigger for Ultima being a boss character's arrival, and therefore you'll mimic the Ultimas instead of the Tolerant Wisdom. So you can sort of work with that and use that to your advantage if you so choose. But honestly, I didn't find any of those particular fights to be particularly challenging in terms of the series quest itself. Just be careful of things like Yazmat and stuff like that in the boss battle fight from FF12. And other than that, you should be absolutely fine with all of the characters that I've listed here. So I'm going to love you and leave you with the Dare to Defy track that I used this team for, which has one of the more challenging chaos fights in it, and showcase the song as well, because I think it's quite a fitting end to my journey with Theatrhythm Final Bar Line. And I'm still going to be playing the game a lot, like with all the DLC and stuff that's coming out. I need the Nier, and I need to know that Bravely Default's coming at some point soon. So if I stream it again, absolutely. But I think this is probably the last video that I will make for Theatrhythm on YouTube. So let me know in the comments below what other games you'd like to hear from, or what other games you'd like me to cover. Like I said, we've been doing some wonderful work with Nintendo lately on stream. If you'd like me to bring that to YouTube, that would be absolutely fabulous. And then obviously any kind of Final Fantasy content that you want to see, definitely let me know for that as well. I will love you and leave you with that. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and click the bell for notification of future videos I might be making. And I shall see you next time, beautiful. Hope you have a lovely day. Take care.